Good morning. Welcome back to our webinar. The topic, International Relocation of Minor Children. An interesting topic, something which I'm dealing quite often with, or at least people are inquiring about it more than usual. The issue of relocation. The mother or the father, depending upon the parent who has care over the minor child, wishes to relocate to another country and wants to take the minor child with him or her. The challenge is that there is another parent who also has parental rights and responsibilities with regard to the minor child, and his or her consent would obviously be required. And to look at it from a different angle, that parent would no longer have contact with a minor child as he or she usually would, should the minor child live and remain in South Africa. But now the minor child, or the intention is to take the minor child to a different country, whereby contact might be once a year, physical contact, once a year, maybe twice a year, where the parents travel between the two countries, or the minor child does that, depending upon the age of the minor child, or contact will only be done via video, Zoom, WhatsApp, etc. There will no longer be this contact of every second weekend where the dad or the mom will collect the minor child from the other parent, or midweek contact, or half school holiday contact, religious contact, birthdays, Father's Day and Mother's Day. So that is the consequences of having a situation whereby a parent relocates to a different country with the minor child. Of course, the parent is allowed to relocate to a different country without the consent of the other parent. I'm referring to the parent himself or herself. But however, if he or she wants to take the minor child with, obviously there may be consent issues. And that is what our webinar today will be dealing with. If you are watching this webinar live via the Facebook Live platform, you are welcome to pose any questions you may have on the specific topic. If you have questions relating to something else, also in the theme of family law, you're welcome to pose it, but I will deal with those questions towards the end of this webinar dealing with a specific topic. Please note, if you are watching this webinar from a different platform other than the Advocate Mohammed Abduroaf Facebook page, I would not be able to respond to those questions because I would not be able to see them. But nonetheless, let us begin and deal with the specific topic: international relocation of minor children. Firstly, if there is only a single parent with a minor child and there is no other parent, for argument's sake, the father cares for the minor child and the mother is no longer there, maybe passed on, then of course the father's consent would only be required for the minor child to leave the country, for the passport application and for border control and so on. The moment there is a second parent, then a question has to be asked. Does the other parent also have guardianship rights over the minor child? A quick forward: if the other parent does not have guardianship rights over the minor child, or any rights specifically in relation to the minor child obtaining their consent for leaving the Republic of South Africa, guardianship rights and so on, then of course the other parent's consent is not required. But if the other parent has guardianship, then this section of the Children Act kicks in. Okay, let us unpack it. I took a short extract of the Children's Act, Chapter 3, Parental Responsibilities and Rights. That's the topic or the heading of the section of Chapter 3, Part 1. Parental Responsibilities and Rights. It goes as follows: a person may have either full or specific parental responsibilities and rights in respect of a child. I'm not dealing with the issue of concerning parental rights and responsibilities of married fathers, unmarried fathers, etc. Those are in previous sections of the Children's Act. You can look at that yourself. But what the section is basically stipulating, it's putting it out there that if you are a parent of the child, you may have full parental rights and responsibilities. For argument's sake, if the parents are married, automatically the father and the mother will have full parental rights and responsibilities over the minor child. For example, guardianship rights, both consent is required, access, contact, both have an obligation to support a minor child, and so on. Or a person may have specific responsibilities and rights in regard to a minor child. For example, the father only has an obligation to maintain the child, pay maintenance, and maybe have contact with the child, but he has no rights regarding guardianship in relation to the minor child. And that would usually be in a case where the parties are not married. It is possible, if they are married, for that to happen, and a court will make such an order. But nonetheless, here we're dealing with a situation where both parents would possibly have the rights of guardianship in relation to the minor child. And subsection 2 says the following. The parental responsibilities and rights that a person may have in respect of a child include the responsibility and right to care for the child. Okay, so you have a responsibility to care for the child, and you have a right to care for the child. To use a silly example, you have a right to have a car, to drive a car, and you have a responsibility to care for the car. So it goes both ways. Because I don't think any parent would say it's fine if I don't have the responsibility for caring for the child. You want to have the responsibility to care for the child so you can have contact with the child, and you have you have an obligation to care for the child as well, to maintain contact with the child, to act as guardian of the child, and to contribute to the maintenance of the child. So those are the parental responsibilities and rights parents should have in relation to a child. And the access include, and we see it above there. Then we're dealing with the topic at hand, subject to subsection 4 and 5. We'll see it a bit later further down. A parent or other parent who acts as guardian of the child must administer and safeguard the child's property and property interests. Therefore, if you are a guardian, you have that obligation. B. Assist or represent the child in administrative, contractual, and other legal matters. For argument's sake, let's say the minor child wants to buy immovable property, a house, or the minor child is being treated unfairly and the minor child's rights are being prejudiced, and you may want to take the matter to court and act on behalf of the minor child or assist the minor child. For example, let's say the child invented something and our third party wants to take that away, or claim that the third party invented it. Then, of course, you as guardian must assist the minor child where that is concerned, taking the matter to court, etc. C. Give or refuse any consent required by law in respect of the child, including, so this is important, you must, and let's go further up, this is the must part. Okay. Subsection 3, I don't think you can see where I'm going to here. I'm marking it, but you can't see that. Subject to subsection 4 and 5, a parent or other parent who acts as guardian of a child must consent to the child's application for a passport. Very important. And the paragraph before that, must consent to the child's departure or removal from the Republic. So where am I going to with this? If you are the guardian of the minor child and you have parental rights responsibility of guardianship over the minor child, which will of course apply to a situation where the parents are married automatically, or a father that was involved in the minor child's life, pays child maintenance, etc., automatically he acquires guardianship rights. So he will of course have to be consulted and his consent will obviously be required. So if you are the guardian of the minor child, your consent is required for the minor child to be removed from the Republic of South Africa. So on that point, all mothers have full parental rights and responsibilities over a minor child. So the issue basically applies to the father. Does the father have guardianship rights? All fathers by default does not have guardianship rights over the minor child. Married fathers, of course, but a father that made a mother pregnant and went missing, he has no rights. He can acquire those rights if he forms part of the child's life, get involved in the child's life, pay maintenance, etc. I'm just being general here. So there we have it. The law says the following. If you are a guardian, you should consent for the minor child. leaving the Republic and also applying for a passport. And then subsection 5 says for the alienation or encumbrance of immovable property of the child. So if the minor child wants to sell his property, or you want to sell the minor child's property, you require the consent of both guardians. Here we go further. Subsection 4. Whenever more than one person has guardianship over a child, each one of them is competent, subject to subsection 5, any other law or any order of a competent court to the contrary, to exercise independently and without the consent of the other any right or responsibility arising from such guardian. Okay, so basically, if you have sole guardianship rights, if you don't have sole guardianship rights over the minor child, both parents' consent obviously is required. Now, subsection 5 and intersection, it goes as follows. Unless a competent court orders otherwise, the consent of all the persons that have guardian over the child is necessary in respect of matters set out in subsection 3c. So 3c deals with the issue concerning the relocation and, of course, the passport application or the departure of the minor child from the Republic of South Africa. So a court can override. So if the mother and the father have a dispute, the mother says, I would like to leave with my minor child to go overseas. However, the father says, no, you cannot leave with a minor child overseas. I refuse to give you consent for the minor child to leave the Republic of South Africa and enter or go to the United States of America. I refuse to give you consent. I am the co-guardian and my consent is required. Subsection 5 says the mother can approach the court and the court can override that specific requirement. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope I have assisted you regarding the specific topic, relocation of minor children, international relocation of minor children. What do I need to know? So that's the law. In simple, you require the consent of the other parent. If you have the other parent's consent, problem solved. If you do not have the other parent's consent, that is something which you obviously we can consider, we can discuss it again. I have discussed it in previous webinars, but the long and short of the matter, as stipulated here, you would have to approach the court and you would have to convince the court that it would be in the minor child's best interest for you to relocate despite the other party not giving consent. And obviously that would be done in terms of subsection 5, the last paragraph. If the court looks at your matter, looks at it, okay, why are you relocating? You'd like to relocate for working purposes. There is a job overseas. When you land, you will start working the next month or the start of the following month. There's a school available for the minor child to register or enroll soon after landing. There's medical facilities. There's everything that will be in the minor child's best interest. Other factors, for example, the parent living in South Africa would not be able to care for the minor child, therefore you cannot leave the minor child behind, and holistically it would be in the minor child's best interest. The parent living in South Africa who opposes the application for the relocation, he or she may argue, no, it will not be in the minor child's best interest. The child is rooted in South Africa, the child has friends, family, etc., schooling, so the child would not benefit by going overseas. The child will actually lose out, and he or she can care for the minor child. So that's where the argument will go. The court may request that the Office of the Family Advocate get on board and investigate the matter and advise the court. So I hope I've assisted you today regarding this specific topic. The court obviously looks at what is in the minor child's best interest, but specifically, at least you know now that the consent of both guardians is required. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you have a lovely day and see you online soon.